Here's how to use Auto Layout in Figma. Figma Auto Layout helps you automatically organize your designs. It's a dream come true feature for all perfectionists. Basically, every UI, UX, product, and growth designer. I'm Aliena, and I help designers get into tech at Fast Track UX. You're about to master Figma Auto Layout. I'll use 5 circles to show you its magic. Right now, their alignment is so messy, it's just like your closet. Let's select all the elements you want to align. You'll find the Auto Layout button on the right, next to Layout. The shortcut is Shift-A. Click it, and Figma will create a smart frame that adjusts automatically based on your settings. For example, you can easily change the gap between all elements by dragging between any 2 elements. This is awesome, and let's go over all the details. The button you just clicked to add an auto layout can also be clicked again to remove it. Once you remove the auto layout, you can move or adjust the elements individually, and the smart alignment will no longer apply. When you are on this freeform setup, if the size of your frame doesn't perfectly fit the elements inside, click the button to the left of the auto layout button. This will resize the frame to hug your content. Now let's learn different ways to arrange these auto layout elements. The first one is freeform. Freeform allows you to move each element freely, so it's almost like not using auto layout. When you add an auto layout and click the same button again to remove it, it automatically sets it to freeform too. The second one is vertical. Ta-da! This arranges your elements vertically. The third one is horizontal. It arranges your elements horizontally. The fourth one is grid. This is a new update still in beta. It allows you to edit the layout in a grid format. We'll go over each of these in detail. Don't worry, by the end of this video, you'll understand how to use every single button here. Let us start with the freeform setting. You'll see W and H right below this button. W stands for width and H stands for height. You can use these fields to adjust the size of your element. You can type in a number, hover over the letter and drag to change it. Or do it the most organic way, hover over the edge of your element and drag until you see a number you like. I like multiples of 4. To the right, you'll see a square icon. If you click it, it locks the aspect ratio of the element, so the width and height stay proportional. Let's say you are redesigning a YouTube thumbnail. A YouTube thumbnail has a specific aspect ratio, so locking it can prevent your cat, your kid, and mostly you from messing it up. One very important thing. Make sure you select the right layer. In a real design project, you will have so many layers. So if you want to lock the aspect ratio of this circle, let's say, make sure to select the circle, not the frame. That way, your circle will stay perfectly as a circle, not too fat, not too short. Below width, you'll find a field to adjust the gap between elements. This only appears in freeform mode when your elements share the same gap. At the bottom, you'll see the Clip Content checkbox. This is super helpful when your frame is smaller than the elements inside. For example, in a carousel design, checking Clip Content will hide the parts of the elements that extend outside the frame. Alright, next, let's move on to vertical and horizontal layouts. These two are really similar, so let's take a look at the horizontal one. When you select a horizontal layout, a wrap icon will appear on the right. If you click it, the elements inside the frame will automatically wrap into multiple rows. Perfect for when there's not enough space in a single line. Below that, you will see width and height settings, each with a drop-down. If you click the drop-down, you can set the size to hug. This makes the frame automatically adjust to fit its contents. For example, if you add a new circle to the frame, the width will automatically expand to hug the new element. You can also set minimum or maximum values for width and height. Let's say you don't want the frame to be wider than 750 pixels, just set the max width to 750. And even if you add more elements, the frame won't go beyond that limit. Right below width, you'll see 9 alignment options for your elements inside the frame. These let you align your content to the top, center, bottom, left, right, basically any corner or edge you want. You might not notice much difference right now if your frame is hugging the elements, but once the frame is bigger, this alignment will become very obvious. Next is the gap setting. Click the drop-down and you'll see an option to set it to auto. This automatically adjusts the space between elements to fill the frame evenly. So satisfying to see everything snap into place. Below that are your padding settings. Padding is the space between the edge of the frame and the element inside it. By default, padding is applied equally on parallel sides, but if you click the little toggle next to it, you can customize the padding for each side, just like this. Next, let's move to Grid, a brand new and still in beta feature in Figma. Alright, I have a love-hate relationship with this, okay? Because it was released literally one day after I finished editing my last auto layout tutorial. So now here I am redoing everything all over again and throwing my last edit to trash. But hey, it's a powerful feature. With Grid, you can snap your elements into a clean grid layout. You can also set your elements to span multiple rows or columns. Think about designing bento boxes on a website. But I still don't like bento box. Blech. You can also manually adjust the width and height of each row or column, like this. On the right panel, you'll find controls to set up as many rows and columns as you want. Just click this big grid thingy. And with the grid layout, you can also select the elements in it and set their width and height to fill container. I love this setting. Now, whenever you change the gap size or resize the frame, all the elements will adjust automatically to fill in those grids. So satisfying. There is one more button, the Auto Layout Settings button on the right. Click this opens more controls. Let's try an example by adding a thick stroke to these circles. By default, the stroke will go outside the frame. If you change the drop-down to include the stroke in the layout, the strokes will stay inside the frame. So this is what it does. I actually haven't had a chance to use this. Now, let us set the gap between elements to a negative number. Think about Instagram, like where the profile pictures overlap. You can use the drop-down here to switch between whether you want the first or last element to show on top. Just one more setting left. For this one, let's add an icon and some text. If you use auto layout, they will align automatically. And if you make the text bigger, the layout will adjust like this. But if you turn on align text baseline, the icon will align with the baseline of the text, no matter how big or small the text gets. However, this doesn't work well with icons that have padding inside, which is like all of the icons I use. So I don't know how to use this. Now let's talk about using auto layout in a real-world scenario. This is really important, so pay attention. Take this YouTube card elements as an example. How would you fix its layout using auto layout? The answer is that you will need multiple layers of auto layout. If you just select everything and click the auto layout button and hope that Figma will make it right for you, it probably will mess things up. So instead, you need to add an auto layout, at least one auto layout between the title and subtext. This keeps the gap consistent, even if the title spans into 3 lines or became 1 line. You also need auto layout for the timestamp, because the timestamp can get longer or shorter. And while this next part isn't part of this tutorial, you will also want to add a bottom right constraint to the timestamp because you want it to align to the right bottom. And for the larger section that stacks multiple cards, you will also need another layer of auto layout to keep the spacing between each card. So basically, you need many layers of auto layouts, and trust me, it is worth it. Now you've learned so much about auto layout. I am so proud of you. But before you go, let's talk about best practices. Auto layout is amazing when you are confident about your final design. It works great for high fidelity designs like detailed mockups. However, if you are still at the early stage of your project, it might not be the best tool because it can make small adjustments harder. You may end up ungrouping things over and over again just to make one small change. One last thing. Auto layout works really well with components, especially for repetitive elements. But that's a lesson for another day. You've learned a lot already. If you learned something today, hit subscribe and turn on all notifications. If you want to transition your career this year and become a designer in tech, check out my program, Fast Track UX. I'm Aliena. This is part of my Figma tutorial playlist. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in this video. That's a gem. This is a gem, and that's also a gem. Alright, bye.